Hello, I'm Marcus Alton from the tribute website brianclough.com and the podcast The Green Jumper. There's been a great response to the live Green Jumper events in tribute to Brian Clough, both at various book festivals and at special charity fundraisers. One of the questions I'm often asked is about the efforts behind the scenes to get the Cloughie statue in Nottingham, which has become a landmark in the city centre, with visitors from around the world seeking it out for selfies. It's a subject I'm always happy to talk about, and here's a little snippet. I put a group of fundraisers together, people that I hadn't got to know over the years. Paul Ellis, who's here tonight, was the chairman of the supporters club. He became our chairman. His financial knowledge was vital. My wife, Sarah, had great connections with the city council, and there were many times when it couldn't have happened without certain things going on behind the scenes and getting Councillor John Collins involved to knock heads together. So grateful for that. And there were other volunteers who are not here tonight, but Rich Fisher, who was the king of eBay and helped with all our auctions. It was very early days for things like that. So the famous story for Rich was we'd agreed to launch this auction of memorabilia at 6 o'clock one morning, and he was having trouble logging on to eBay. So he parked outside his brother's house and used his Wi-Fi to make sure the auction started on time. Trent FM were fantastic. They backed it. Then there was Mike Simpson, a great volunteer, wholehearted fundraiser. Mick Mellors as well from the Supporters Club, who's no longer with us. Thanks, Mick. And Paul Lowe as well. It was a great team of volunteers. We worked tirelessly. In the days before online fundraising, events, badges, sweatshirts, all those sorts of things. And the banners that were displayed around the city when Cloughie died, they were auctioned off as well.
Whether you're into football or not, that statue really enhances our city centre, and you all should be remarkably proud of what you've done. It's fantastic.
Thank you.
Fantastic.
Barbara Clough once said that Brian would have been amazed at the very thought of a statue. Well, the dream became reality on Thursday the 6th of November 2008. That's when, in front of 5,000 fans and the world's media, Mrs Clough unveiled the brilliant bronze sculpture in Nottingham city centre. Among the TV journalists there was the BBC's Natalie Jackson.
Yes, finally it is here, this wonderful statue of Brian Clough, 8 feet tall, this beautiful bronze statue, and it really has been a special day here in the Market Square today.
The unveiling of the statue came 3 years after I'd first contacted Mrs Clough with the idea of a statue. Both Nottingham Forest and the City Council had given their backing to the idea, but I wanted to make sure Cloughie's family would be happy for me to start the ball rolling. In December 2004, I received a phone call from Mrs Clough, who was fully supportive of the idea. Just for the record, Forest said there were no plans to have a statue at the City Ground at that stage. They said it would be dependent on any future development of the main stand. So, with that in mind, I set up a small group of fundraising volunteers. And in true Cloughie style, each member brought a different strength to the team. And we worked tirelessly, really, to raise £70,000 in just 18 months, long before the days of social media and online donations. One of the highlights was a gala dinner at Nottingham Council House. It was a star-studded event which was attended by Cloughie's family and sponsored by the Forest chairman Nigel Doughty. it raised £9,000 alone. Auctions of memorabilia, including a Match of the Day script signed by Gary Lineker and a shirt donated by Arsene Wenger and signed by Arsenal's Invincibles, helped to raise thousands more. On the day of the unveiling, the Statue Fund chairman Paul Ellis said it was fantastic to see the successful result of all the hard work.
What a great day. And it's credit to the people of Nottingham because they contributed towards it. They took part in all the events that they did. They bought the badges, the sweatshirts. They helped us by donating money. It was them that it was for, and it's to recognise what he did for Nottingham. It can't be nothing better than this.
Shortly before the unveiling, I'd met up with the Clough family at the City Ground before we travelled on a specially chartered coach into the city centre. And as the bus turned into King Street, I was absolutely amazed to see the huge crowd that had gathered, along with TV cameras and photographers. It was really just a sea of people. And of course, it was an incredible moment when Mrs Clough unveiled the statue by carefully removing the green drape which was covering the sculpture. And even that material was specially made in Cloughie green by City Council staff. There were quite a few of Cloughie's players there, including the European Cup winning captain John McGovern.
It's a tribute to a very special man that changed part of footballing history in this city. So, you know, it's a nice tribute, a statue in his honour, and just delighted to be here.
Well, it was great to see all the former players lined up for a photo next to the statue, and you can see that picture on the tribute website, brianclough.com. Just look for the Nottingham statue page. While Nottingham-born Tony Woodcock and Viv Anderson were among the European Cup stars.
Great memories of Brian Clough. We also say that we grew up with him, so probably without him we wouldn't be where we are today. So it's only quite natural that we come down and celebrate this day with him.
There's that many memories. I mean, to take this provincial club to where he took it, it's just phenomenal, really, you know, and we'll always be indebted to him.
Two other European Cup greats couldn't be there on the day because of UEFA Cup commitments, but John Robertson and Martin O'Neill sent video messages which were shown on a big screen. A month later, they were able to attend a civic reception to celebrate the statue, and on a stage in the Council House ballroom, I was able to interview them alongside Gary Birtles. And on the day of the unveiling, he said that whole event had been an incredible occasion.
It's been a fantastic day. You saw the turnout from the public. It was absolutely brilliant. And I think that's what Brian Clough brought to this city. He brought belief and he put the city on the map. Before he went abroad and it was, where do you come from? Nottingham, Robin Hood. But then, after the European days, it was Brian Clough, Nottingham Forest. And he brought so much to this city, prosperity-wise. It was absolutely fantastic. And the absolute statue is fantastic.
Now, I have to say, everything on the day itself was organised like clockwork, from the archive footage on the big screen to the interviews on the stage by the compere Gary Newbon. Behind the scenes, we were helped by many people, including journalist John Lawson, who worked closely with Cloughie throughout his time at the City Ground, and Keith Daniel from the media group. In a previous Green Jumper podcast, Keith looked back on that special day.
Well, I think the biggest thing was that I felt honoured to be there. And obviously I, for many years, moved away from being in front of the camera by then. But the fact that I was asked to actually help in something that, for me, to be honest, was, again, another labour of love. I mean, you did brilliantly, Marcus, in terms of getting the thing off the ground. And the actual day was sensational in the sense that it was special, you know, in that truest word of the word sensational. And it was just amazing because of the people, because of the fact the statue was going to be there, because of all the resonance and emotion that went with it. I think as time goes by, those fantastic days get more and more distant, but that statue is and always will be. And that is a tremendous tribute to the great man himself, but you should take your bit of credit for that as well, absolutely.
Those words from Keith were really kind, but of course it was very much a team effort, and the small group of fundraisers had done a brilliant job. One of them, Rich Fisher, was a guest on the Green Jumper, and I asked if he still felt proud of what had been achieved.
whenever I do go into town, for whatever reason, I always make a point of going for a little walk past it. And yeah, I mean, I don't know, I suppose with anything, you throw yourself into raising money for something. You don't really think about kind of how it's going to be perceived in 10, 15 years' time. I think, you just get so immersed in the actual doing the do that you don't really think much beyond that. But yeah, I mean, I think it has become such an established and well-loved landmark. And you only have to sort of stick Clough statue into Twitter, and so many different people, Forest fans or otherwise, will tweet pictures of it and say really complimentary things. And it's definitely something I'm really proud of. And the fact that it's a bronze statue, it's probably going to outlive me and still be there in 100 years' time. And I just think that's a great thing to be able to say you played a small part in.
As well as dealing with all the internet auctions, Rich was heavily involved organising Cloughie, a music event at which John McGovern introduced the different bands performing on the night, and he read out a message of support from Mrs Clough. It raised over £2,000. Of all the money-raising ideas, the sale of pin badges in the shape of Cloughie's green jumper raised around £15,000, and I remember fans had queued to buy them when they were launched. There were also queues to buy replica green sweaters, which had an embroidered badge featuring the Fund's logo and the words Old Big Ed. They were launched before a Forest match in November 2005, and most sizes sold out within just 2 hours. They were so popular, more jumpers had to be made, and even Cloughie's former secretary, Carol Washington, offered her support and bought one. A collection before the Forest match against Cloughie's former club Hartlepool raised £4,000, with a big team of volunteers helping out on that one. It all meant that with donations from the City Council and Forest, the target was smashed in December 2006. But the work didn't end there. The process began of selecting a sculptor and a suitable pose for the statue. Mrs Clough and her family were closely involved in the process, and Les Johnson was chosen by the selection panel. Mrs Clough told me there was something very instinctive about his work, and the bust he'd created captured so much of Brian's character. Here's an excerpt from an exclusive interview with Mrs Clough recorded in 2008 to coincide with the unveiling of the statue.
It was quite breathtaking when we went to see it, yes. We went down to Les Johnson, and he has his studio next to his house, and they were such a very nice, kind couple, and they made lunch for us, and then he said, "Come on, we'll go and see it." And he opened the door, and of course it was just in the grey, sort of unfinished clay, but it was absolutely incredible. It took our breath away. And he left us on our own just to look at it. He said, anything at all that you want changing. And we just looked at each other and we said, it's perfect.
The statue is admired by visitors from around the world. Even the world champion boxer Carl Froch wanted his photo with the sculpture when he received the Freedom of Nottingham. And it's great to see so many selfies taken with it even today. And the classic quotes around the plinth are a special touch. All these years later, the legend is still a much-loved landmark.
And just before we unveil the statue in a tribute to all you people, I'm just going to ask Barbara very quickly what Brian would have made of this turnout today.
Oh, I've said before he'd be amazed at the very idea of a statue, but the way the Nottingham supporters took him to their heart, there we are. He would be surprised, but he wouldn't, if you know what I mean. He had a real bond with them, and I think it shows today.
Great. Well done, people of Nottingham. You've done it for the Clough family. And now, as a permanent reminder of the greatest football manager this city's ever seen, and the greatest football manager that British football can count right up there at the top, Mrs. Brian Clough will now unveil the Brian Clough statue in the city of Nottingham Market Square.
It's just a wonderful thing. And as I say, I keep saying it, but he would have been amazed. He would really. But, you know, just at the very idea of a statue. Yes, he used to say, didn't he, I hope I've contributed and I hope somebody liked me. So, you know, I think a lot of people did, yes.
Thanks for listening to this special edition of The Green Jumper, and if you've enjoyed it and other podcasts, then please leave a 5-star review. It all helps. I hope you can join me next time for more memories of the great man in the green jumper.